Welcome to a journey of remembrance and resilience. This March 2026, we bid a somber farewell to icons who defined generations, the thunderous Ross the Boss Friedman and the luminous Valerie Perrine. Their fire remains legendary, yet no journey mirrors the definitive blueprint of greatness quite like Oprah Winfrey's. Behind her unprecedented 25-year reign and sprawling empire lies a story deeply etched in scars, a child who forged unimaginable trauma into a global beacon of hope. Today, we honor the resilient spirits who truly endured. Let's begin. Ross the Boss Friedman, the iconic guitarist whose thunderous riffs defined the very soul of heavy metal and punk, has tragically passed away at the age of 72. His family shared the heartbreaking news through his official Instagram account this past Friday, March 27, 2026, confirming he peacefully left us after a courageous, rapid battle with ALS. A proud son of the Bronx, Ross first shook the music world in 1973 as a founding member of the Dictators before forging the legendary Battle Hymns of Manowar in 1980. A journey of pure fire and steel that earned him a rightful place in the Metal Hall of Fame in 2017. The music faced its darkest test in February 2026 when an ALS diagnosis and a series of strokes began to steal the strength from his hands. It was a crushing reality for a man who called his guitar his life's breath, yet he spent his final months bathed in an overwhelming sea of love from fans worldwide. He met the end not with bitterness, but with a profound gratitude that proved a legendary spirit is far stronger than any physical frailty. In the quiet of his final days, did he not find a melody more powerful than any solo? Farewell to a true master whose legacy of blood and steel will echo forever in our hearts. Though the boss has left the stage, his fire will never fade.
But now, looking back on it, I wouldn't have changed that for anything. I'm glad I went through that.
Valerie Perrine, the luminous Oscar nominee and beloved Superman star who enchanted generations as the sensuous Eve Teschmacher, has tragically passed away at the age of 82. Her devoted friend Stacy Souther confirmed that Valerie died peacefully at her home on March 23, 2026. Surrounded by an abundance of love, just as she had always wished. From her rebellious roots as a Las Vegas showgirl to her 1974 masterpiece in Lenny, where she captured the Best Actress prize at Cannes and an Academy Award nomination, Valerie was a force of vulnerable beauty. Whether starring alongside Dustin Hoffman or playing the iconic witty sidekick in the 1978 blockbuster Superman, she remained the hostess with the mostest, a woman who lived every moment of Hollywood's golden era to its absolute fullest. For over 15 courageous years, Valerie waged a quiet battle against Parkinson's disease. She faced this relentless thief of movement with incredible compassion and grace, never once complaining even as the world's bright lights began to dim. Her journey was one of profound resilience, proving that a spirit built on fire and kindness can never truly be broken. In the quiet of her final chapter, did she not show us that bravery is the most beautiful role one can ever play? Farewell to a true Hollywood legend. Though the world feels less beautiful without her, Valerie's vivacious legacy will forever sparkle on the silver screen.
So for 4 years, I was in pain every time I walked down a hill and I was getting those injections in the knees.
At 72, the image of Oprah Winfrey remains the ultimate blueprint for the American dream. She is the woman who redefined the heartbeat of a nation, the first black female billionaire in history, and the voice that commanded the global stage for 25 consecutive years. Presidents sought her counsel. A single book recommendation from her could reshape the publishing industry overnight. To the world, she is a sun that never sets. Yet, as the quiet mist rolls over her $50 million Montecito estate in the spring of 2026, a different story emerges, one written in the language of scars. Behind the billion-dollar empire stands a woman who was repeatedly violated from age 9 to 14, a girl who wore potato sacks because poverty was the only inheritance she was given, and a legend who spent decades battling her own body while the world watched and judged. We see the crown, but we rarely see the weight of the head that wears it. To understand the icon, we must first meet the child who survived what should have destroyed her. Oprah Gayle Winfrey was born on January 29, 1954, in the rural, forgotten dust of Kosciuszko, Mississippi. Her arrival was not a celebration. It was an inconvenience. Born to an unmarried teenage housemaid and a soldier stationed miles away, her very name was a mistake, a misspelling of the biblical Orpah that no one bothered to fix. For the first 6 years of her life, she lived in a world where dreams were a luxury her grandmother, Hattie Mae, could not afford. Oprah wore dresses stitched from potato sacks, becoming the target of ridicule for other children. There were no toys, and only chores that left her hands raw. While Hattie Mae was strict and often used a switch that left welts on Oprah's legs, she also taught the girl to read by age 3. In the worn pages of the Bible, Oprah found her first escape. Words became her sanctuary, the only place where she was not hungry, not poor, and not unwanted. However, the sanctuary shattered at age 6 when she was sent to Milwaukee to live with her mother, Vernita. In the crowded, chaotic rooms of the North, the nightmare truly began. At 9 years old, Oprah was raped by a 19-year-old cousin. It was not a single incident, it was a cycle of betrayal that involved an uncle and a family friend. Each time she was told to stay silent. Each time, the shame burrowed deeper into her identity. She carried that blame like a millstone, and believing the horror was her own fault. At 14, the trauma culminated in a pregnancy she tried desperately to hide under baggy clothes. When the truth finally surfaced, the baby boy was born prematurely and died within weeks. In a confession that still haunts her fans, Oprah admitted, "I thought that baby's death was my punishment for being a bad girl." It is the cruelest truth of her life, a violated child mourning a loss she felt she deserved. The trajectory changed when she moved to Nashville to live with her father, Vernon Winfrey. He was a man of unyielding discipline, but he provided the structure her soul craved. He demanded excellence, forcing her to read books and write reports every week. Slowly, the girl with the haunted eyes found her voice. By 16, she won a public speaking contest. By 19, and she was the first Black woman to anchor the news in Nashville. But the road to 2026 was not a straight line of triumphs. In Baltimore, she was told she was too emotional for the news. They tried to change her hair, her weight, and her soul. She was demoted and humiliated, crying in bathroom stalls, fearing her career was over before it began. Yet that demotion was a divine redirection. In 1984, she took over a dying morning show in Chicago, and within months, she surpassed the industry titans. The Oprah Winfrey Show was born, and for 25 years, it became the fireplace around which the world gathered. She didn't just ask questions, she shared her soul. When she told her audience in 1986, "I was raped at 9," she didn't just share a secret, she shattered a national silence. She became the world's therapist. But the cost was absolute emotional exhaustion. She absorbed the trauma of every guest, carrying their pain home to empty mansions. She built an empire on connection, yet found herself increasingly isolated by the very fame she created. As she navigated her 25-year reign, the public's obsession shifted to her body. Her weight became a public spectacle, a yo-yo of triumph and shame. In 1988, she pulled a wagon of 67 pounds of fat onto her stage to celebrate a liquid diet, a moment she now looks back on with deep regret. For Oprah, food was never about hunger. It was about safety. The weight was armor against a world that had violated her. Even after becoming a billionaire in 2003, she would go to bed hating the reflection in the mirror, proving that success cannot buy self-acceptance. And even her retirement in 2011 brought a different kind of tragedy. The launch of the OWN network nearly bankrupted her. For the first time in decades, she was failing publicly. The pressure was so intense, she suffered from near-total exhaustion and sleepless nights, micromanaging a sinking ship until she moved to Los Angeles to rebuild it from the ground up. By the time the network stabilized in 2017, the woman who led it was different, softer, humbler, and more aware of her mortality. Now, in 2026, Oprah lives a life of unparalleled luxury, but her health reflects the toll of the climb. At 72, she manages hypertension and the lingering effects of decades of stress and yo-yo dieting. She moves with a careful grace, aware that the physical invincibility of her youth has faded. Her relationship with Stedman Graham, spanning over 30 years, remains a spiritual partnership rather than a marriage. She chose not to have children, fearing she could never be the mother they deserved while building the empire she needed. Instead, she pours her love into the girls at her leadership academy in South Africa, calling them her daughters. Oprah has donated over $400 million to charity, yet she still faces critics who question if it's enough. To her, the money is a shield, but the work is the heart. Most of her wealth is already pledged to charity, a final act of service from a girl who started with nothing. Late at night, in the sprawling silence of her estate, she often reflects on the paradox of her life. She's surrounded by millions who love her, yet she remains emotionally isolated by the very height of her success. But the tragedy of Oprah Winfrey is not that she failed, but that she had to sacrifice so much of her humanity to become a legend. She turned shame into strength and invisibility into influence, but the little girl in the potato sack dress still whispers in the halls of her mansion, asking if she is finally enough. As we look at her in 2026, we see a woman who conquered the world, but is still learning to conquer the silence within. Her legacy is not the billions, it is the resilience of a spirit that refused to stay broken, reminding us all that even the most brilliant light is often fueled by the deepest shadows. One thing is certain: history will remember her as a queen, but those who listen closely will always hear the quiet courage of the girl who survived.